canning stock route is over.
Oh man.
But 13 hours are missing. What happened to Chris? Did the other guys just leave?
He had to go.
You didn't bring enough food.
Have you got the pickles?
Poor time management.
Clark's 12. It's still Monday.
You spent 2 hours filming a 79 series broken axle.
You only put 1 minute in. Hooray, let's keep going.
You broke the rules of the permit.
Well, I'll happily explain why I broke the rules of the permit and didn't use a sand flag.
13 hours disappeared on the end of the canning stock route. Some people aren't happy. What went down after you got stuck there in the 76?
What went down was the 76 went down. I mean, it's quite obvious, but I think it's more so how I ended up in that situation, which was the dumbest move that I did on the entire trip. Out of all the decisions I made, that was the worst one. If you go back to episode 10, option 1 we couldn't do, option 2 we couldn't do, option 3. As we were heading towards option 3, we passed a guy in a Grenadier. Had a quick chat and asked him about the track ahead, because I said, look, we just hit 2 roadblocks. Did you come from, the other side? Mm-hmm. And he said, yes. So I was like, cool, so we can get out. And he says to me, yeah, there's just one 100-meter section you got to worry about. I see this little bypass road, or this new road that's been cut in, but I drove straight past it because I'm going at speed. Straight away, I think Rafa, or might have been Chris, got on the radio and said, hey, I think you just passed that bypass. So I actually turned around really slowly where I could, came back through, and I made a mistake of going through the same tracks as I did on the way across, because we want to make new tracks. I fell into this wet section, bogged the car. I was dehydrated, hadn't eaten much food. I was tired, eager to get out. I didn't want anyone else to come in to help me out, because I just wanted to get the car out.
He doesn't respond, he doesn't say anything, he just said, don't come in. That's what I know.
It honestly took me 15 minutes per max track to get out after I tried to recover. So Rafa moves closer and I'm like freaking out because I didn't want him to go down. He stops where it's firm, he jumps out, ran down to help me. He had to go like 500 meters to help me out. So we're trying to get the car out. Well, that's probably about 3 hours of it. We were stuck there for quite a while. It took ages to get it out. And I thought it was just me being weak and fatigued and tired, getting the max tracks out. I saw Rafa struggling as well. Now, in the meantime, I've sent Chris ahead. I've said, mate, there's no use in all of us staying here, trying to get the car out. You go to the shop, you get the water. Now, we had life straws and all this other stuff around. So we had ways of filtering water and things. But we're not here to dick around anymore. We need to get someone to the airport and we need to get out.
So another element you haven't mentioned yet is there's not actually even much footage to work with there.
There's some bits that we're putting up here, but it's very limited. And then you've got to explain the story of why Chris is ahead, and they didn't really get much footage apart from driving. After that, we went to Wolf Creek, got a few photos at the sign. So we got to Wolf Creek at 1 a.m, 2 a.m.
This is a common theme with video length. We see a few comments saying wish the episodes were longer, and finally a good 30-40 minute length episode. Why are some episodes so short?
If we're doing stuff for a TV show, they have to have it in this certain amount of time, right? So then you have to be structured to that time. I don't make my content for TV. I'm just out there telling the story how it happens. So we don't run with scripts for each day. We might have a bit of an idea of what the theme might be about, but on the canning, we just rolled with it, right? So some episodes, we left quite a few bits and pieces out because it just wasn't fitting the story.
I'm going to show you how to figure out which way is north, south, east, west by using your tree. This is the remains of a hut built by John Forrest and his men. So
it just ends up being what it ends up being because that's how it happened. Having a longer episode is better for the channel as well.
Yeah.
Because the watch time goes up. But I also don't want to just throw shit out there just for the sake of it.
You're exactly right. My take on it is that watch time, you can't just take your 13-minute video, extend every drone shot by 30 seconds to a minute, put some dance music on it the way you would have done it in 2018, right? And go, here we go, 40-minute episode, now extra watch time, extra money. Then you start losing people's attention.
Yeah, And then it works the other way.
Yeah, and so it's a very careful balance. And all through the canning stock route videos, we've been looking at episode 1, this happens, this is a logical cut point. The next episode's too short, so maybe it's coming up at 13 minutes. And we have a look at it and go, well, what could we take from the next episode and drag back here? But then if we do that, then we ruin the flow of the next story, which makes a lot of logical sense.
We're sacrificing some episodes to make sure that the next episode is a banger, but we still want to have the continuous story going through.
So back onto practical things. With episode 10 and a lot of talk about needing to get to water, we've had a few comments about that. I feel like there was 2 separate comments here on the life straws and purification tablets. You did already touch on that. You've got the life straws. You're not going to die, but they're a survive, not a thrive. If you'd had a proper water filtration system, you could have done a lot better with water. So why didn't you have something like Womo is a brand that comes to mind. That's a high volume water purification filter system.
That'd be quite a big unit.
It's quite a big case. It sits in a safe case like that.
I honestly didn't think that we would need that.
We thought the wells were going to be a lot cleaner than what we thought.
Now, also in episode 10, we had a bit of hate for the Bloopy's skinny tyres. Through the whole series, I've counted 12 comments just on Chris's skinny tyres.
Oh, really?
Plenty of people saying, why would you go out there on tyres like that? But lots actually wondering, are they really that bad? And I thought I'd extend that and say, in what situations are they actually beneficial?
I would say the skinny tyre is more beneficial on sand with the right pressure. His tyres are also smaller. They're also all-terrain. Had they been mud terrain, we would have stood a much bigger chance.
So if Australia was all beach and sand, would you run skinny tyres?
No. Would you?
I need to hear a bit more of an argument from both sides, I think.
I think there's scientific proof, really.
Yeah. But do you know why Chris chose them by any chance?
He wants the classic look of the Troopy.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
No, yeah, you definitely can't argue with that.
Episode 6. You're doing a bit of a fuel chat.
We'll be coasting in on fumes. We'll be alright. It's only just gone on, so...
Chris seems to be burning more than me overall. I've suggested we bang out his air filter because it could be the air filter.
This comment suggests, is the Bloopy the only one with the mismatched wheel track? And could that mismatch of the wheel track be causing extra drag going through the sand, causing more fuel consumption?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, 100%. His wheel track being wider on the front and narrow on the back is not helping him. So the skinnier wheel you have there, the less tread you have or the less, you have that follows the rear track. So the front track is making one track, the rear track is making another track, and this creates this fishtailing. But if you had wider tyres, it would line up a bit more in the middle, and it would fishtail slightly less. And it's more to do with the nature of that vehicle. So if the wheel track was nice and straight, it might not have been that much of an issue. And also, he used high range too much. So when he switched to low range, he actually drove better. But he's like, but I'm using more fuel then. But you're not, because you're not having to labour the car so much. Low range, soft sand. If the car's struggling, go low range. Take it easy, go over to dune, get to the other side. Maybe adjust the pressures. He also sat in two-wheel drive for quite a bit of time. I'd say maybe the first couple of days where there wasn't any sand, he'd sit in two-wheel drive because he thought it was saving fuel.
Good to see you, mate.
And straight after the rocks, we're back into the soft sand.
Ooh, that's soft through there.
We're bogged. Oh no. You're not in full drive, Chris.
Oh, that's why. Too late, we've got to go now.
I can only guess when Chris went from low range, he pushed the lever all the way to two-wheel drive.
Oopsie doopsie. Oh wow. Keep that quiet, mate.
So people think, now we're making all four wheels go, it's going to use more fuel. But if you're on a track where you are requiring traction and you've got ruts, you've got holes, you've got all this stuff and corrugations, you're better off having all the wheels driving for you because it's much easier for the vehicle. So it makes it less work for the vehicle, using less fuel. The front is helping you the whole way. But it's not just that, it's also safety-wise. If you're on a gravel road, like even the Great Central Road, if you're on two-wheel drive and you have the ability to go four-wheel drive, you go four-wheel drive. You might have to swerve or something, You might see something on the road, like a metal object or a washout, and you want to avoid it. You try to do that in two-wheel drive, you could end up side over side.
You're going to get slammed for this.
Am I?
Yeah. Sand flags.
Oh,
You were pushed a bit on this during episode 9, but it also popped up in a few other episodes. Why aren't you running sand flags through this country?
yeah, I'll answer this. Like, sand flags are a false sense of security. And with the amount of trees and stuff out there as well, they're just going to snap off. I actually believe I made this comment while I was on a track on the Connie Highway.
Looks like my comms are down.
There's a lot of trees here. This is why I don't like sand flags out in the bloody bush, because you hit a tree, it whacks the roof of your car.
The idea is the sand flag sits up so you can see a car ahead. Now, most people who put a sand flag on their vehicle, it barely sticks over the roof of the car. There is no like regulation on how high the sand flag's got to be. When I used to run a sand flag, I used to put it on, I think it was on the back of the 79, on top of the headboard, and it stuck right up.
It's in 3 pieces. I'm just going to use these 2 because I'm up high already.
It was so freaking high, so people could actually see it. And the other thing is, when you're driving up a dune, guess where your sand flag's going to go? It's going to go like this.
It won't actually alert you if someone else is climbing a dune.
The whole reason why I got a sand flag is so the person can see you coming. All right, so the expectation is the dune's here. It doesn't go like that. It goes like this. You got momentum, sand flag leans back, you're going up the hill. You're not going to see the sand flag anyway.
Do not rely on them.
You're better off looking for a windshield reflection, headlight reflection, and pay attention to what's up ahead. I think they're useless. I think it's a false sense of security, and I don't really care what anyone says about that.
I see his logic, and if you don't see his logic, or you do, down in the comments.
I'm sure you'll let you know. I'm sure you'll let me know about
You'll
it.
let him know. Now we're getting critical of your time management.
Oh.
So this one, right in episode 1, this person, they had it figured. 16 days seems way too few. The track is too slow. We took 25 days.
Well, I know 2 people that did it in 13 days, 14 days.
From my perspective, I look at that map, the Canning map, and it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't look like it's going to be that slow.
No.
And then there's people in the comments that will say, oh, there's so much information on the Canning out there. Like if you'd just done your research, you would have known you needed longer. But here's another experience of mine, is that everyone's opinion and time to travel and their idea of what's rough and what's not is very different. For example, I was on the Gibb River Road many years ago, and you get the word of mouth from other travellers, oh, it's so rough out there, our trailer got shaken to bits, make sure you don't go here, and oh, it's too hard to get through there. One spotlight fell off my dad's vehicle, a cheap plastic spotlight. It wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah.
And then other things you can go down and it's like they said bad, they underestimated this. So you can't really always, everyone's experience and opinion of what's rough and what's slow and what's fast can be very different.
I mean, you're so right on that. I've had a few situations before where people didn't want to drive along the beach because they said there was 6 foot of seaweed and you can't get past, it's impassable. So they took the back track, which is a horrible track. I had a whole tag-along tour there. I was kind of questioning it because I've been in a situation before where I listened to someone and it was totally fine. So I sent one of the guys down. Yep, there's a bit of seaweed around. Yeah, it looks a little bit dodgy here, but we know what we're doing. We got all the gear ready. We'll put the cars in the right order and we'll blast down. The tide's going out, we're good. Tide was coming in, maybe we wouldn't have done it. There's a lot of risk there.
With those comments and a heap more similar sort of nature, time pressure was a major theme of these videos.
Yeah, so we were on a bit of a time pressure, that was for sure, but we always are. We're always on a time pressure. Camera guys are not cheap. We agree on a rate for a big trip like that because otherwise it just blows out completely. It just makes it unaffordable. So we need to get these people out by a certain time. I think after 18 days, because we allow for a margin of error there, Mark had to fly back. Now, in classic fashion, right here, I was behind by a day getting the car ready.
We are doing a 5-minute job.
And that's pretty common because there's always something that pops up and it's like, oh my God.
Do you have any of those friends that say the job is a 5-minute job and it's dark? What it's supposed to be a 5-minute job is becoming a 2 days mission. Day number 2 in Perth. We're still working on the cars.
No surprise there.
No surprise there. And so this is the kind of 5-minute job.
So we already started on the back foot. And when you're traveling with 3 different cars, and there was also sleeping that next morning.
The day we're leaving and we still have to put all of this inside the cars. All of that inside the cars.
And we actually camped before Wiluna. We meant to get to Wiluna that day. So we're already...
You were a day behind.
We had 2 extra days. But I caused one. As a group, we caused another. I know that next time I'll allow 21 days. I think 25 is too many. I wouldn't say it's poor planning. This was carefully planned. Carefully planned. We just made mistakes. You know, poor planning is you don't bother planning. We thought we had it down to the T on fuel.
All the way to Halls Creek. Let's make every drop count.
Water, food, and everything. We were all good on those fronts until we learned that, hey, these wells aren't the best to get water from, and we're actually drinking more water than what we expected. And when we got to Coonawarrigi and we did we spent that day with the traditional owners, Cadjo Rangers, we were meant to go back to the shop and get some more water. We got some water that morning, but I didn't really get to do my shopping because I had to do pieces of camera, and we should have stayed another day. We would have had heaps of water, but then we would have been behind.
Time management. What was the earliest that you got away from camp in the morning?
If we got to camp late and everyone was having breakfast at camp, by the time we'd leave could sometimes be 9, 10 o'clock.
I've got 2 kids under 4 and I get out of camp quicker than you guys.
That's because you're up at 4 a.m.
Exactly right. So do you think that it's snowballed perhaps? You get to camp late at night, therefore you get up later, therefore you're then at camp too.
In a way, yes, but if we get to camp early, that means that we will have to get up early and go early so we can get that nice light while we're moving and we're talking about things. The thing is, when we're out there, we had all these points of interest. So we're going to this point, we're going to talk about this point.
So what type of snakes would you find out here?
Then we go to that point, we're going to talk about this point.
Somewhere close to this vicinity, 2 men met each other and it ended up in both of them dying.
So we're doing all these set pieces around, you know, talking about the canning.
Filming's like super slow. It's half speed basically, I reckon. So I think on a good day we probably only get about 70 to 80 kilometres a day.
If we didn't film anything, we would have been done in the canning probably, I don't know, would have been days ahead. Filming takes ages. I saw a blown out axle housing. That was 2 hours. That wasn't meant to happen, you know.
Damn!
Did that take 2 hours?
Because Chris had gone up ahead and he couldn't reach us because the radio comms were just really bad because they're broken by that stage. And I'm like, well, let's just quickly do this. And then we did it, and then we had a microphone issue, so we had to shoot it again.
It looks like you stopped for 10 minutes.
No.
That's insane.
We also want to allow everyone else a chance to have a look around as well. I mean, they're there to smash out the filming, but we're not going to take someone all the way out there and all you're doing is filming and you're getting back in that car. It's like, we're all, as a group, we're all enjoying it. We're all having a good time. So everyone needs to have the same experience.
Is that how you end up going into the night? You maximise the daylight filming and all that nice afternoon light and then make it up at night time?
Sometimes, yeah, that does ring true. But we also film less around lunchtime. It's a boring light, all the shots look shit, it's too hot. We don't want the guys out there in the heat because it wears you down more. You drink more water, dehydration, dust, fatigue, all that I think would have been worse if we did that, and we would have been out there for 30 days if we did that. So we try and either get to camp a bit earlier in the day so we can capture some light around the camp and all that. But then we'll leave crackers in the morning and have breakfast on the track. The thing is, if you have breakfast at camp, you're burning so many hours because someone's got to go off, take a shit.
Seems like as good a spot as any.
Someone slept in. By the time we get going, you know, sun's up, light shit already. You end up filming a lot more during the day. And then because you film so much during the day, your distance hasn't gotten that far now. And so you've got to make up for it in the dark. But we all enjoy driving in the dark. It's not just that, it's at night, it's cooler for the vehicle. The car runs more efficient, it burns less fuel, and you get that tunnel vision. So you're looking down the track. You're not busy looking over there, and then you're down the bloody washout rut, or I don't know what the hell Chris was. He had so many excuses about that accident.
I was just talking to Jacob and wasn't looking at the road, and just coming around this bend and I was looking at the navigation. I basically took my eyes off the road for a very split moment. Yeah, I just didn't see this washout on this left side. Looked at the map for like literally 2 seconds and I just slipped into it. It's as simple as that.
So far, I'm counting 5 excuses.
I feel like I'm more of a focused driver at night because you look where the lights are. You can't see anything else. You just look where the lights are. Small washouts look huge. Huge washouts look like cliffs.
Yeah.
I like driving at night. Everyone likes driving at night as well. If you didn't enjoy driving in the dark, you would do one trip with me. That's it.
Yeah.
That is all you would do.
So all these people saying, "Oh, I'd hate to be your mate. I'd never go on a trip with you."
Definitely,
They're probably
you probably
right.
would. They're probably right.
Would. So probably
Yeah.
stick to your current circle of friends.
Yes, yes.
Driving late at night.
It brought it back again.
No, it's back with a vengeance, mate, because a lot of people keep bringing up fatigue and safety concerns. And how do you monitor the group's fatigue and ensure that it's not unsafe?
So the more the crew spend time in the car, the less fatigued they're going to be. Of course, the drivers are going to experience more of the fatigue, but passengers, they're going to be relaxing, you know? Except for when it's corrugation. But anyone slurs, if someone says they're tired, if a driver says they're tired, that means that they are beyond tired, you know? Because you don't recognise you're tired until, it's like the gauge on your coolant. Once it gets to hot, it's already hot, man. So if you say you're tired, you're tired. That's when we go, all right, well, we're pulling up and let's make a cup of tea on the track.
Thanks, Raf.
We know that we can then go for another half hour, maybe an hour if we're lucky, and just see how we go. That's how we would normally manage that fatigue. We could even explore the option of swapping drivers. But in the instance of Rafa driving a big, heavy troopy, used to driving heavy cars, also used to driving manual off-road, you can't really expect Mark, first time camping, to jump into a big 70 series troopy
At night
and be able to drive safer than someone who's slightly fatigued.
Do you enjoy flies? Because that is unreal how many people commented that right from the start, and especially around Kunnawarrigi, episode 7, where you're doing the routail cook-up.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have a problem with them. Did anybody have a problem with them?
Honestly, on that trip, not really.
Not even Mark, it was his first time camping.
You had a fly net.
Long Mac topped up with extra flies.
You'll get plenty of that.
Yeah, it's his first time camping, but he has filmed in that region before, so I think he knew what to expect of the flies. Some people it gets a bit different when you got heat involved as well, because then the heat lowers your patience and your tolerance, and then flies become a bit more problematic. I haven't always been like this about flies though. They used to drive me nuts, and one day I just cracked.
Yeah.
Since then I was fine.
So you just got to get out there and harden up, build your tolerance.
Yeah, pretty much. And I find that a fly net, you wear the fly net, and then you take it off, and then woof, and then they're all there, and yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. But I'm a fly net guy all the way.
Yeah, I do get it, but I just, yeah.
So on that episode 7, with all the flies and the routails, you were with traditional owners and they were giving you a bit of a traditional experience.
Yep.
This was quite new to me. It was just how strong the culture is out there. You know, for me, I hadn't really seen that before. And those guys were just, I could just see how connected to the land they were. It was pretty powerful actually. I thought that day was absolutely mind-blowing.
Is that the normal for anyone that...
Not unless you reach out beforehand or you strike a conversation with someone at the shop or something. The compound that we were allowed access to, that's closed off. So it says no access unless you're invited. If you do get invited though, you don't have to be someone who's making a documentary or something. Like, if you know someone, you can get invited. It's more of that. They have to be able to trust you as well. They need to know your intention. So we reached out early and let them know our intention. We also work closely with the Shire of East Pilbara. And the Shire of East Pilbara, they were keen to talk about permits and stuff.
If you're driving the canning, you need 4 permits. Those permits allow you to travel the main route, not to wander off wherever you like.
We made our intentions clear that we wanted to talk about the communities, the land, and what it means to the people of the desert, and about the track. Stick to the track. The permits give you access to the track, and as long as everyone does that and respects it and does the right thing, well, guess what? Possibly the world's longest four-wheel drive track in the world. If that can remain open for the next 40 years, 100 years, how cool is that? Imagine in 100 years' time, that might be the only track left.
Oh, we might be running cattle back down it by that point. Who knows?
Well, who knows? Yeah.
With the way fuel is at the moment.
We might be escaping out there.
Yeah. We're going to talk about vehicle choices now. Let's start with the 300 series. Not seeing too many out there. Too expensive, perhaps? What are your thoughts?
Why not? Probably... Well, I didn't see many cars out there, to be honest.
According to the internet, apparently everyone does the canning stock route. I tend to think otherwise.
It wouldn't be my first choice to take a 300 or 250 out there, but I know Rafa was hell-bent on taking his 250 out there. Yeah, I'll do the canning. By the time we got to that tight section, that's going to sound horrible in the troopy.
Oh man, this is crazy. I feel sorry for this troopy, to be honest.
Doesn't feel so bad when it's not your car, eh? I said, would you still bring a 250 out now at Raf? He's like, no, hell no.
Okay, so they just don't have they're not prepared to do the damage yet, maybe.
I think that might be what it is.
Maybe put those 300s and 250s in that 8, 10, 15-year-old mark and...
Yeah, things might change then.
Yeah, it might change. What do you think is the minimum requirement for a vehicle then? Because this person has done the CSR 35 times solo in Granny's Daihatsu Charade, eating nothing but canned food, and ate the can for minerals. No, someone seriously asks though.
What car? What's
2018 RAV4?
Yeah, that could do it. 40 series could do it.
Yeah.
Bring the parts. Saw a Land Rover out there. Also saw one that didn't make it.
Yeah, a long time ago.
More Prados that didn't make it though.
Yeah.
Oh look, any vehicle can do it. It's just got to be prepared. And I think it's how you treat the vehicle. Someone could go out there in like an old clapped out Pajero, but that person lowers the tyres to the appropriate level, drives at the appropriate speed on corrugations, understands and reads washouts and conditions. There's always bad luck as well, but that could happen to any car. That person could easily manage and get through, and someone could have a brand new 79 series with all the bloody gear on it, and if they're too rough to the car, guess what? They could leave an axle out there. It's the corrugations that are going to get you. It's the corrugations or staking a tyre. And with a RAV4, you can only load so much in it. Because you literally don't have much space.
Most of it's probably going to be jerry cans.
Jerry cans and water.
Yeah.
That itself is going to save you because you can only load so much in it.
So experience would be much more important than vehicle.
Yeah.
Drive to the conditions and drive to what your vehicle's capable of as well.
How did you, with all of your years of desert travel experience, underestimate the canning?
I feel like we've underestimated how long it takes to do the canning stock route. We really need to assess.
That's a good question. And I actually have a good answer for that. Believe it or not. And I'm not stalling here. No, I'm not. I am. No, I'm not. The Simpson Desert, the Yambadal Highway, the Gunbarrel Highway, all of these are desert tracks. Now, these are just the big ones that I can mention that people may recognise. These tracks, They're very straight. You can go quite fast. There are some sections where, you know, there might be sand and it slows down a little bit. The Simpson, perhaps, when you get to the sand dunes, you get pretty bored of that after a while. The canning, though, is different. It's windy, it changes. It's over 1,800 kilometers, so the amount of changes that happen from south to north and north to south is phenomenal, and I didn't realize that. And that's what makes it so unique. There is no day that's going to be the same pace and speed, right? So right from the rocky bottom, you can't go too fast, but in some sections you can. Then you hit good fast-paced sections where you can sit on 70, maybe even 80, if the tire pressures and all that right. But then you end up in the sand dune, and it's all windy, so then it slows down again. So it constantly, every day throws something different at you. And then when you're filming in between, it is the most difficult track to sort out pacing for. Chris, he's the only one that's been there before. He went from, I think, Durban Hills south, and he recalls doing that in 2-3 days, right? But he was completely wrong on that, because it was many years ago. So we had this expectation that we would be at that Windage Springs by day 1. What was it, day 3?
Yeah.
Or day 2?
I think it was late day 2 maybe. Do you reckon you would do the canning solo?
Yeah.
Okay, and so my extension to that is, what would you do differently, and how would the canning solo look to you?
I would take it a little bit slower. I would definitely be traveling still at night, but I'll be selective of where I would do that. All my supplies would be more for me. I'll probably spend more time at different places. Just sit there and think. It's a bit different when I travel on my own. Yeah, traveling solo I really do enjoy. But I equally enjoy traveling with the right people as well. There are currently 2 more canning stock route films in the making. One of them will be the entire story in 1 episode. That's going to be a long one. It sure is. The other film that we're working on is a complete guide to the canning stock route. Planning, learning from our mistakes, water, food, fuel. How can we help you? What information can we give you to help you plan your canning stock route trip? Tell us in the comments below. Thanks for watching.